All right, so this session is already in motion. I forgot the red button, but yeah, from a site builder using contrib modules. I have a question. How many people here know Commerce, Drupal Commerce? Yeah, and how many people use it often? No? Okay. So most people would say novice, beginners, Drupal Commerce. Okay. How many are site builders? And how many are hardcore XXX programmers? Depends. Depends on the day of the week. All right. So let's go into the workflow analysis of buy versus rent. I'm going to try to make this as much fun as possible. The buying workflow, the most common e-commerce use case is essentially to buy, and to buy is usually a one-way workflow. From the customer's point of view, the first thing you do is you look and search and find for a product, and then you add it to the cart. And if you're a one-product customer, then you go to checkout, and that's the end of your process. Obviously, you can loop in the find a product, add it to the cart, find another product, add it to the cart, and that will work fine. And it's usually acceptable, but of course there is a limit at which this loop will drive you crazy. This is the POV, sort of point of view from a store backend perspective. The backend has to figure what's the product. Are there attributes? What are attributes? I'll come back to that. Is the product in stock? What's the basic price? Do attributes modify the price? Attributes is like t-shirt. My extra large t-shirt may cost more than the extra small t-shirt, so if I choose an extra large, the attribute has an effect on the price. Some attributes affect price, some don't. Are there taxes? Taxes. I put a little star there because if it's a 1 star, it's not that easy to figure sometimes. Sometimes it can be complicated, especially if you're dealing with multiple tax states, if you want. But it may not be your case. Who's buying? We need to manage customers and profiles. Is there a paying method? Is there more than one? Do I need to send an invoice? Is there shipping? So managing fulfillment. So this is roughly the actions that the backstore has to consider. Let's look at the renting workflow. So I put in red what's a little bit different. So you do still have to find a product, but whoops, you have to stop because you have to decide, okay, I'm going to rent it for a day, 2 days, a month, 6 months. So that's an issue that you need to, as a customer, as a consumer, you need to figure. And then the next thing is, because it's, yeah, right, I just rented a tool. I better go and pick it up, and I have to figure out how to pick it up and how to return it. So that's from a consumer perspective, what you have to do. So it's not so common, and although these appear to be trivial, we do have twice the number of steps that we had. Sorry, could we, no? All right, so this is the store's point of view now on your renting workflow. And again, in red, what's new. So you can see that, there's a lot more stuff that you need to consider. So the rental period is just not a select field with some options in it. It can be complicated. So what are your options? Are you renting by minutes, by hours, by days, by months? So you need to, in the backstore, this needs to be figured out. The start date, the end date, obviously. D, E, and F could be all part of the same system, but you do have to check for availability. If I want to rent a lawnmower on Saturday, you better have one available, right? And then if it's available, you need some kind of booking system too, that you can book it, and then you need to make sure that inventory is updated, blah, blah, blah. As far as the price is concerned, It's the same as the buy with the extra addition of, okay, so how does the rental period affect the pricing? And then we have payment methods. It could be money, but it could also be internal budget codes. So imagine an intranet where people can go and get all kinds of things, and it's not money; it's budget codes that people use to pay. So that's something you need to consider. And then the store has to obviously, in the pickup area, check product, working status, hand it over, and in return you receive, you check penalties, final invoice. So it gets complicated. For this project, at one point, it just drove me crazy, and I figured, okay, what am I going to do? So that's why renting, I feel, is a little bit like knocking on hell's door, but staying there because you're amazed and you just want to keep going. Other important consideration, we touched on that earlier on. Adding products to the cart, one item at a time, may not cut it for all use cases, right? And we'll see one of those. A bulk add to cart functionality may be essential, and we will see such an example. A proper booking system for automatically managing inventory is that's a big piece, and I'm not going to show you this piece. I'm going to give you hints as to what you could use to do that, but that's a big system in itself. That's a complicated system. Are there others? Anybody can think of other important considerations that a rent store could have versus a buy store? Yes?
Oh, were you asking, or is that rhetorical?
Whatever.
So recurring.
Yep, recurring.
Yeah.
Okay, so renting something, but on a recurring basis. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Membership.
Membership, yes, and because you are a member, maybe recurring is cheaper. The rules pile up, but those are great.
What about creating a client profile so the client doesn't have to decide now, can build and come back and log in and continue where they left off? And then
That's correct. I mean, normally in a buy store, the client has to leave some kind of address, and coordinates so that we can check that versus the credit card
They always say, I'm clearing the cache and I'm going to lose everything, and I can't start over again. I won't know why I made decisions before.
Yeah, it's possible too. So you do have to manage those kinds of situations. So I mean, all these examples just make things pile up, and we're going to see a little later that you need to as much as possible keep things very, very, very simple. Yes.
If the inventory was just down to zero now, how long does it take to make sure that new purchase can't be made, because then you have to honor or do honor?
That's correct. And inventory is very tricky. And the example that I'm going to show you, we didn't need an end-to-end rental store. Basically, the client, who is a big production company, they do shows all over the world, and so they have a store in-house where people can go and buy the lights, the staging stuff, and they used to do that on Excel sheets, and of course everybody was going crazy, so they figured, hey, how about we do that in another way. So I'll show you more about that later. So summing up on the workflow analysis, renting is definitely not like buying. The back-end requirements get quite complex, and as we've seen by some of the questions raised, it can get complex. Like buying, of course, there's a cart, there's a checkout process, but just the tip of the iceberg, right? So whenever, basically this project came to me, and we need a rental store, and I had never done a rental store, so I had to do some figuring out. So what do you do when such things happen? You start, of course, Googling. If you search on Google with Drupal 7 or 8 e-commerce rental, you find some interesting posts or results. Presto, for example, is the only D8 distribution that uses Commerce right now. So if you want to play with Drupal Commerce 8.2.x, whatever, Presto is probably what you want to try. Easy Booking is a D7 distro distribution, and it implements the booking, but for hotel rooms only. So it's very specific, but it should show you a little bit how booking works. And Easy Booking uses the rooms project or module. And what I find really interesting is this thing here, the BAT booking availability management tool for Drupal. Basically, it's the same people who created rooms now are creating a library which is generic. So it can be used for rooms, but it can be used for tools, it could be used for cars, it could be used for books, for anything. Yes?
Library, it's not a module?
Well, it's a module, but it has a big library.
Okay, that you store in sites slash libraries.
Yeah. I mean, if you go to drupal.org/project/bat, it's right there. They don't have they're working on a D8 port, but it's not available at this time.
And sorry,
Yes?
what was the last one?
Oh, BAT.
BAT.
BAT, B-A-T. So project BAT, you should find it.
It's a distribution, right?
No, BAT is a generic module/library that allows you to manage bookings of any kind. So it doesn't have to be rooms. It could be, Tonka truck, whatever. So we're going to look a little bit at stats. Stats is an interesting word because you can read it from left to right or right to left, and it says the same thing. Statistics are, you can interpret them the way you want, so be careful. If you search on D.O with Commerce in the module sections, you find a little bit over 1,600 D7 modules and 27 distributions. Those numbers are so-so, because when you start going through the distributions, you find really 3 or 4 that really are still alive or still make sense, So those numbers are, of course, don't take them, or take them with a grain of salt. But what I was trying to do here is just get a sense of where are we, Drupal 7 versus Drupal 8. In Drupal 8, we have 249, three distribution, and there's only really one that's working. So that's 13% of the offering is D8. If you change that to stable release, the numbers, of course, fall down, and D8 represents 8% of the offering. But we all knew that kind of thing because that's D8 is in progress. It's not where it should be right now. So don't get too caught up with stable release, especially if you work with Drupal 8, because you're going to be working with a lot of betas. Drupal Commerce is beta 7, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It's pretty darn good. Sometimes that you have to be willing to work with dev if you want the latest stuff. As usual, you've probably heard that a million times. Make sure you take the time to read the project page and even go through the issue queue. If you do that, you get a better sense of, okay, this module is really happening, even though it's just in beta or whatever. This I found it interesting. Drupal core. This is if you go to drupal.org/project/Drupal, you see this. Okay, Drupal core 8.3.3, the next patch release, and if you look at Drupal 7, if you need stability features from the white, so depending on your project, if you don't have a lot of money and you need a more mature module or a more mature platform, you may be still today considering a Drupal 7 platform. Just quickly here, this is the breakdown of the Drupal Commerce releases. So currently 849 D8 installs, which is 1.3% of the 65,000 Commerce installs, the reported installs, of course. And this is what it looks like if you look at Drupal Commerce. There are a few interesting things. August 2014, that's the first 8x dev version. They reached 60,000 in July 2015, and the peak was in March to 16. And if you compare that to Commerce Kickstart, which I will explain, you see, I mean, it does kind of make sense that at about, between 215 and 216, Commerce Kickstart has peaked and is now going down. Commerce Kickstart is the de facto distribution in Drupal 7 to play with Drupal Commerce. It is on its way out, and there is no plan at the moment for a D8 port. They're not talking about it. They're way too busy trying to fix things, try to make the D8 version evolve. Questions so far?
The D7 version evolved.
I'm sorry?
You said the D8 version evolved, but did you misspeak? You said make the D8 version.
Yeah, make the D8 version. I mean, basically, they are.
You said there's no plan for Drupal 8.
There's no plan for a Drupal 8 port
Yeah.
of Commerce Kickstart.
Okay.
Presto.
The distribution.
Yeah. Presto is it?
Okay. But
Presto is something different, so who knows? Maybe it's going to be Presto from now on.
Okay.
Hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the guys from Commerce, the Commerce guys, I mean, they're so busy with Commerce itself that when you ask them in issue queues, are you thinking about porting Commerce Kickstart? It's like, not sure. We have no plans.
And according to you, is Presto alive and well? I mean, is there some?
It's new. It's a new thing. It's so it's better than nothing. I imagine. I think it's a May 217. Is it possible? Anyway, if someone looks at the project page, you will see when it was released. So it just makes it easier to install Drupal Commerce 8.x. And installing Commerce 8.x is more complicated than in D7 because you have to use Composer, or you should be using Composer, etc., etc., etc. Yes.
And that's a distribution, so you have all the package inside?
Well, I mean, a distribution means that someone has gone through the trouble of bringing of bringing a subset of modules that will allow you minimally to do something. Without you having to install modules one by one, configuring them, which could take you anywhere between
so Presto is a distribution.
I haven't tried Presto, but it's there, so I would look at it. I mean,
Yes. Okay.
Yep, it's worth looking at it. If not, I mean, you will have to look into installing Drupal 8 anyway, and on DrupalCommerce.org. The documentation is really great. It's super. It's so I went there saying, oh boy, I'm in for a real trip here, and I went there and boop, 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 boop,
Okay,
all happening. So they know how to do their stuff. So there's no distro yet, but the documentation is really excellent. All right, so postmortem on this thing. So this was a project that started about 2 years ago, and again, it was a big producer who does shows all over the world, and they have lots of production, and they have an internal store where people can buy cables, mattresses, lights, winches and stuff like that. And they used to do that on Excel sheets, and of course they wanted to do something else. This is basically what they asked me. We want to use Commerce Kickstart to do, to create a store for rental and make sure that we can bring everything into something which is more sane and manageable. And so far, so good. So that's the explicit goal. There is an implicit goal here for me, which was to make Drupal Commerce do something that it's not really made for. I mean, when we think of Drupal Commerce, we think about selling stuff. We don't think really about renting stuff. And it doesn't have an awful lot of, if you look in the issue queues and you search, and you won't find a lot of renting posts. So that was an implicit objective for me. The main task, basically they have 1,000 products that they needed to import into this new store from CSV files. They wanted, of course, to implement a rental pricing scheme for all their products, and we'll look at that a little later on. And they also wanted to implement a one-click bulk add to cart, because they don't have 5 line items orders. They got like 60, 70, 80 line item orders. So it makes no sense to have to find the product, add it to the cart. Find the product, add it to the cart. It's just, so that was a big issue.
Excuse me, when you say add the cart many times, is that like 5, 10, 15 quantity?
No, not quantity, different products.
Different products.
I mean, it's easy to say rope 15 add to cart. That's easy, right? But if you have to say rope 1, 15 add to cart, rope 2, 2 add to cart, chain, I mean, it's the different products which is problematic, not the quantity. The quantity is...
Just for sake of understanding, maybe check off 5 boxes and then add those 5 boxes to the cart.
If you stay until the end, you'll find out. All right, so for importing the 1,000 products, of course, you use feeds, and there's a commerce feeds module which exists, and it has a product processor, which makes it easy to, well, more or less, to create products. And you will need feed stamper, Also, feed stamper, anyone know feed stamper? So feed stamper is basically from the CSV file, you have a title, and there's a chance for you to change that title before you create the product with it. So it allows you to do some fun stuff, and you will see that we need it actually. You have to import twice with separate CSV files because a product, a user-facing product, has to bring in some. Okay, let me just change the terms here. A product display, a node, has to bring in some products into it for them to be visible to a user. So you have to create the products first, so the backstore stuff, and then once you've got those created, then you can create the node display that will have, say, 3 or 4 of those products, as product variations. We will see a little bit, but you have to do that twice basically, you have to do it twice for every product type. And a product type is like a content type, but it does not create articles or pages. It creates different types of products. We'll see that also a little bit later. So for products, for product displays, in order, you have to create the children entities first, and then when the parent entity exists, you can bring the children entity into them. Yes?
Which means recreating all the fields.
Prerequisites. So, of course, if you're going to import, there are prerequisites. Your product types need to be ready. Your product displays need to be ready. And you need to have good, clean CSV files. Emphasis on good, clean CSV files. Basically, when the client gave me the 1,000 product Excel sheet, I think I spent maybe two days at least just cleaning up, bringing things into a proper format, and then to be able to import it. Yes?
And what was the format of that CSV file like?
If you stay around, you will see it. So what's a product type? Well, a product type, the same idea as a content type. It's a template from which to create different types of products. So you could have physical products, virtual products. So you probably want to create a product type for physical products like T-shirts, books, tools, cars. But you may want to create a different product type if your products are MP3s, membership, tickets, or stuff. Okay. If you have products that you sell and products that you rent, you need 2 separate product types, because the product that you sell is for sale, and the other one is for rent. And the one for sale doesn't have a rental period. It's for sale, right? So we will untangle that a little bit later on. The types of field that you find in a product type are the product SKU. So the SKU is the unique ID identifier of a product. You cannot have 2 products that have the same SKU, or you will not make the difference between the lawnmower and the barbecue. It will be the same thing. So, title, price, status, images, and attributes. So the attributes are usually in the product type. So if you're selling t-shirts, size, color, they need to be in the product type. Okay? Notice that the product type does not have a description. Product type creates products, which are also known as product variations. You will often see that. A product variation, so it's a commerce product entity, okay, and it's unique. They're also called commerce product entities, CPs. And these are backstore entities, right? Those are in the backstore. Users, customers, shoppers don't see a product as a product. They see it as something else. What's a product display? Well, a product display is almost just another content type. That's what it is, you know, at the base. It's a template from which you create product display nodes. And again, the product display node is the parent entity where the children product, you know, come in. So what makes a product display is the fact that it's got a product reference field in it. And it has to be obviously multi-value, because you may have a t-shirt that's available in 5 sizes, 3 colors. So those would be products, and they would come in to the product display. Also known as product display node, product reference. So if you hear the word product reference, that's a product display, or product display entity. Those are front store or user-facing entities, nodes, right? All right, so this is me going a little crazy, but I mean, you have your store, you have your back store. These are your product variations, okay, where the SKU is, the title, the price, obviously, and this is the store. This is a node, which has a product title, product name, image maybe, a body. So the description is in the node. Because if you're selling Drupal Camp Montreal t-shirt, the description of that t-shirt is the same if it's a large, a medium, or a small, right? It doesn't matter. So that's why the description is in the node, not in the product. If you need some information product specific, then you will have to add a field in your product type that can handle that, and that will be different for every product. So the node references products. The parent knows where the kids are, but the kids have no clue where the parents are, right? That's the way it works in real life too. But good? Yes?
Can I just ask, it's off topic, but I'd like to ask you before I forget, is it costly for a company to switch the image on the store side?
What's the cost?
Is it expensive for a company to say, oh, you know, we had the wrong image, we're going to have to replace it?
You mean for a product?
For a business with the full site and operation, and suddenly the image has to be changed, swapped out from their image.
One single image?
Yes.
No.
It's not expensive.
Well, if it's a single image, we just go in, edit, change the image.
That's exactly. Thanks.
Right, easy. Good? Everyone's happy with this? What's a CSV file? We all know, or we all should know. So it's a text file in which the data that will be imported is in columns. You know? So something in bracket, comma, something in bracket, comma. Those are columns, right? But I mean, essentially, pulling back, the CSV file is your ticket to bulk create import. If you cannot get a clean CSV file, importing is going to be hell. If you only need to create 10 products, maybe you don't need a CSV file. But if you're going to create 1,000 products, if you don't have a CSV file, it's not going to be fun. In these files, we have each product variation. Now, just keep in mind that there's a separation here between the product and the product display, which is a node, okay? So in the product variation, the SKU has to be unique, right? I'm insisting on that, and there'll be more about this later. The preference format for price is minor units. So if you have a T-shirt that you're selling at $9.99, and in your CSV you have $9.99, it's going to come out wrong. It has to go into minor units, okay, for the import to work properly. Not a big deal, but it's nice to know. And you will need definitely two different CSV files to create the product types and the product displays. This raises an issue with your SKUs. You need to come up with a plan about how you're going to be naming your products, because basically if the SKU is unique, then the black large T-shirt SKU has to say something like that, and that has to be different from the black medium T-shirt, right? So the attributes you should be able to decode those attributes in the product SKU. Yes?
For the preferred price format, if you put it like 9.99, it can be also 99.90 if you forgot like this.
Well, I mean,
it can be different. Like the dot can go anywhere. So how can you figure it out in the CSV file to make sure that the price will be the right price?
well, I mean, basically the client gave me the regular price. I just made sure I either multiply by 100 or remove the decimal.
How do you multiply by 100 though?
Right, I'll show you.
For 99.90.
Okay, so this is a question about what does the CSV files look like. So here we are creating product variations. That's the first import you do. Okay, and this is the header, and then you have the SKU. See, ARCO 04. In my case, ARCO refers to the product, and 04 it's the 4 feet length one. This one is the 5 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet. Okay, so you need some kind of strategy. You need to think about your SKUs so that they are meaningful. If you just put numbers in there and they're not meaningful, I mean, you're up shit creek, as we used to say. So the category, the subcategory, the name, the price. Where's the price? Here, I think. See, $7.79. 5. So these are the products that I'm creating with the feeds importer on the first run, and then I need a separate file after that where I can go in and with one line here I'm going to create this product, ARCO Fab 3024, with all these products. So all these are SKUs, and Commerce Feeds will bring those in. So it will create a node called this, and will add those products as product reference, right? So this is how you create, you add product variations to a product node. That's the way to do it. Is that good? Yes?
I'm not sure if I missed this, but product variation is a node?
No.
No.
No. A product display is a node. A product variation is a commerce product entity. So backstore. Product variation is backstore. What's confusing is, of course, when you look at the page, you're looking at what you think is the product, but it's a node with a reference to a product. All right, implementing the rental scheme. I better spin up here. Trying to figure out the rental scheme raises many sub-questions, but we answered or we spoke about a lot of those. What's the difference between product, attributes? Does the attribute change the product? What's a good attribute? What's a bad attribute? There are such a thing as bad attributes. Should we create a standard attribute to handle the rental price scheme? So if I'm selling T-shirts, or if I'm selling, well, we'll see that. Requirements. So I'm thinking a good understanding of your product model. So we've been discussing and talking about the product model, the products, the attributes, the price. How does price calculation occur? And you will need to do a little paper R&D and play to find your best. I think I'll skip this, but this was basically trying to go. This is a silly dialogue, but just to show how meaningful attributes are, right? So if you walk into a store and you say, I want a t-shirt, someone's going to look at you and say, okay, you want a t-shirt? Okay, can you be more specific, you know? Oh, how about size? How about color? Okay, so, but because I'm running out of time, I'm going to spare you, but he's a funny guy, so I just thought I'd drop him in there, right? So this silly dialogue shows the importance of attributes. Size and color are both important attributes for a t-shirt. There could be more attributes: styles, price, brand. But maybe brand is not just a great ID for. Maybe that's a bad attribute, because if I want to differentiate Nike t-shirts from Gap t-shirts, might as well create product types. You know, Nikes and Gap. So I have separate products. So this is probably one where brand would not be such a great attribute. Remember that attributes can't affect pricing. Color may not, but size will, right? Okay, back to the use case. In my store, length is a reasonable rope attribute because 100 feet of rope is not like 500 feet of rope, obviously. So if I have 5 options of length, then I will have 5 product variations for that product. The same goes for width. If I have 3 width, then I will have 3 product variations per length of rope, right? So beware, this can get out of hand very quickly. For the rental pricing scheme, you can create many for a store, but don't go there. You're going to get yourself into trouble. Try to negotiate with the client. Try to, zero in on a single rental scheme, pricing scheme. This is what we came up with the client. So basically, 1 day, 1 week, 15 days, 1 month, a whole bunch of days, and a purchase. He added that. Oh yeah, I want people to be able to purchase too. Okay, so how did we implement that? Well, we needed to find a simple formula, something like apply an operator to a factor, which will give us a price, right? What we came up with was this. So taking the list of options, we said, okay, so the base price is for 1 day rental, and that's 1. For a week, it's 3.5. So 3.5 times the basic price will give you a week rental. 10.5 will give you the basic, not the basic price, but the adjusted price for a month rental, etc., etc., etc. All the way to, okay, if you want to purchase this, we figured out, we looked at everything, and 195 was the magic number. So the issue with something like this is your client cannot get the exact, precise price they want. They have to accept some movement a little bit in the prices of the products. But so what you need to do is make sure that the factors that you choose make it so that it evens out at the end, so they don't lose any money, because nobody wants to lose money, right? So if we add a standard commerce attribute with 10 options to a product, that means we have to create 150 product variations for that rope, because we got 5 length, 3 width, and 10 rental periods. Multiply, multiply, multiply. It was crazy. So you don't want to go there. With 1,000 product in the store, we're looking at 100,000 product variations. No. So we need to break out of that model, and people had to break out of that model earlier, and this is what they came up with. So this is a solution for the rental pricing scheme. This is an older solution. It's using contrib modules in D7. So we're using Commerce Product Option, CPO, which allows us to create an option set. So the 1 day, the 1 week, 15 days, 1 month, that's the option set. And then we add to it a commerce pricing attribute, which allows us to, as you can see here, this is the operator. So it can be multiply plus percent, blah, 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 and then your factor. Okay. So this allows us to create the pricing scheme for all products, basic rental. This is a newer solution, and this one requires no contrib module and is the better way to go. The previous solution was older and was before some functionalities were built into Drupal Commerce. Now they are. This is the better way to do it. So what you do, and if I lose you, let me know, but there's a default line item for each product type. And we want to intervene on that line item. And if we add a field on that line item, a rental period select with all our options, okay, it's at the line item level. We just need to add in D7 a pricing rule that will say, oh, here's a line item, what's the option? And blah, 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 and it calculates the price automatically. Okay, and this being the way to go should work both for Drupal 7 and Drupal 8 as well. I haven't tried it in Drupal 8. The only thing missing at this point is with this system, we lose the integration that we created with the older solution. So if we drop or dump the older solution, we need to redo the integration into the bulk add to cart. So this is a simple order, 5-line, no big deal if we loop, add, that's okay. But my client, this is the kind of orders he's got. So of course, it didn't make any sense to, you're going to lose 30 minutes, to build an order, and it's not good for anybody's mental health. So there is, thank God, a module called Commerce Add to Cart Extras, which gives you this minus the rental period integration. So basically, you can list all your products, and you can say, where's my quantity? The quantity field. So you can go here, add 2, add 4, add 6, add 7. You go down your list, and at the end you say add to cart, and it will just add everything to cart all at once. So this is the. Sorry. Yes.
That previous tool shows all the products available.
Yeah, I mean there are many ways that you can present your products. If you get 1,000, you got to figure out ways of filtering. But you could have, if you want, 1,000 products. Basically, what we did is we offered a product category, and we have areas where we have other filters. Okay, so this works great. The client is really happy. The feedback is great. We don't have an end-to-end solution at this point, but that was the major project to tackle, and we did it. So what we've seen is how to prepare for the integration of a rental period. There are many things you need to consider. A scheme for your SKUs, which is béton, as we say in French, and you need a scheme also for your rental period. Watch out for attributes. Keep an eye on their combinations, because combinations will make things grow, sometimes out of proportion. Use the same rental period for all your products, and accept the compromise that you won't get the exact price that you want. The integration of a bulk add to cart. Some coding is required for the integration into the add to cart form that we've seen. Some integration is also required if you want in the cart so that people change the rental period. You're going to have to work on that integration. It does not exist. And we have not considered the booking system, which is a big issue also that needs to be addressed, not for my client, because they are still doing their inventory the old way, but they are starting to ask, is there any way that we can bring this into the project? The BAT project appears to be very promising for that on the D7 side, and I will be sure to experiment with that. The Rooms project offers a basic booking management, again, as we saw for Rooms, so that's also an interesting comparison. In both cases, not a trivial endeavor. Some R&D definitely is required to do that stuff. So, question? Yes?
Looking at the CSV files, and you're talking about the different ways that you dealt with the attributes, you used different modules. I'm just wondering, at what point do you tweak the CSV files, or do you do it while it's already in the database? You know, from your experience?
Yeah, that's a good question. My point of view, personally, I like to tweak the CSV file as much as possible,
Right?
because it's done on the fly, right?
Yes.
So if you get it right first, you don't have after that to go in and start doing things. I mean, commerce feeds will do things much, much, much faster than you can ever dream of doing. So if you have, if you need to spend one more day in your CSV, do it, because you're going to be so happy that you did it, because after that it's just.
And for you, is that what happened? Did you flush it and then
Yes. I mean, basically, I would take a CSV, try to massage it, and then back up, and then import. And you look and you go, oh shit, you know, like the minor units are screwed up, or blah, blah, blah. So undo the import, you know. Start the cycle again until you get it right, you know. And then at one, because if you just go and delete your nodes, your node IDs and your product IDs will go up and up and up and up and up and up. It's not really an issue, but you know. Yes, sorry.
If you have already like 1,000 products with this system, the way you handle it.
Right.
If the customer would like to add another 1,000 products, you just have to import another CSV and then.
Yeah, because you could even go as far as he has a major upgrade to a lot of his product. What I would do is say, okay, I'm going to give you the CSV file. You do your fixes in the CSV file, and then when they're ready, I take it back, I look at it, and I re-import. But I just update the existing nodes, and the nodes that don't exist, it just created. So once the system is in there, once your feed and your feed importers work, you can use it to do batch work as often as you want. Yes. Did you have a question over there? I'm sorry. No? Behind you? No? Okay.
And delete the product, for example, if you have like 500 products to delete.
Delete?
Yeah. Because like, if a product is no longer available, or it's too old, like if you.
I don't know if you can use feed to delete products. I'm not sure.
You can map your feed so that the input from the CSV file either updates
Or deletes?
replaces.
Okay.
Or so, for instance, I've lived a similar situation for a store, 3,000 products, and actually it was an update every month. So it was the whole 3,000 product, erasing the old ones and putting in new ones.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just like overwriting.
It's your choice.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have, say, comments enabled on products, you can do that.
Yeah.
But if you need to preserve the product ID and a node ID, then you're up shit creek. Yeah.
So have you ever had to do anything like product bundles? So it could be 3 different products bundled together.
Yep.
How do you handle that?
I haven't done that. I'm sure there's a way to do. I've seen in the old days, in Ubercart, ways to bundle products together.
It's a rule. It's a rule.
It's just a rule? If it's just a rule, then you just go into rules and, you would basically, where it could get out of hand is if you have 200 product bundles, because then it would mean 200 rules, kind of. But if it's small, rules will help you. Yeah?
Or you create one
Make
product.
product suggestions. We send order one product and you can suggest.
The only problem
Yeah.
with that is inventory.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's another. That was not part of my use case because it's an internal store and people know what they're doing. So and there's very little tools to make it possible for buyers, to exchange, just to make suggestions. But yes, you can definitely do that too. Like the proverbial, if you've liked this tool, you will love this one. That's easy enough to do, I think.
Donc,
Yep.
si on fait un site de location puis que BAT est juste disponible dans Drupal 7, ça veut dire qu'en Drupal 8, on a encore des problèmes.
Ça veut dire qu'il faut attendre ou si tu as un client qui est relativement fortuné, puis il y en a, puis ils ont des gros budgets, ben là tu peux faire du développement. C'est-à-dire que tu peux être celui qui va créer le module.
Exemple que vous avez donné, C'est un store dans l'entreprise. Hein?
Oui.
C'est pas un transfert budgétaire que ça se fait.
C'est des transferts budgétaires, donc on a... moi, ce que j'ai fait, c'est... Évidemment, je n'ai pas installé carte de crédit et des trucs comme ça. J'ai créé une payment method. Ils font juste inscrire le code de budget.
Est-ce que vous avez examiné le scénario où le produit est remis en retard et que ça affecte un nouveau pricing, ou il y a une pénalité dans le pricing qui est affectée?
Moi, je le mentionne dans mes trucs, mais comme on n'avait pas à faire le booking, donc la gestion de l'inventaire, ça, ils font ça à mi-temps. Okay. Mais là, ça commence à les déranger un petit peu. Là, ils se disent, mais là, coudonc, on peut-tu... Mais moi, j'ai l'impression que mettre en place un système de booking pour ça, là, ça doit être à peu près de la même envergure, peut-être un petit peu moins que le projet lui-même, parce que c'est vraiment pas simple. T'sais. À moins que BAT s'avère être un miracle, là, mais I don't know. Hard to say.
Oui. Dans le cas d'un Airbnb,
oui. Ben là, Rooms.
Tu prends Rooms, mais
ouais.
tu n'as pas ces options-là, c'est pas des produits.
Oui. Si c'est des... Je veux dire, le use case des chambres d'hôtel, des Airbnb, il est déjà couvert. Puis, c'est quoi là? Tu as une des distributions que j'ai montrées tout à l'heure qui est.
Tu mets là comme une salle de spectacle là, qui aurait du rental pendant un certain temps.
Ouais.
Tu sais, mettons.
Ouais.
Il y a un house band pendant 2 semaines.
C'est ça. Fait que ton booking, là, il est super important parce que il ne faut pas qu'il y ait du booking par-dessus booking, il ne faut pas qu'il y ait d'overlap, sinon tu vas te retrouver avec un problème comme...
Et en même temps, si c'est des produits qui sortent et qu'il y a des pénalités pour des retards, il faut que ça rentre dans ton pricing.
Oui, tout à fait. Donc, dans le fond, il faut que tu aies un système secondaire de coûts. Dans le fond, un jour de retard, 2 jours de retard, 15 jours de retard, dans le fond, ça... Peut-être que ça pourrait être une liste d'options séparées, parce que c'est pas en tout cas. Oui, peut-être. Et ce qu'il faut faire attention, c'est que les attributs dans le paradigme de Drupal Commerce, c'est comme size, c'est comme color, puis c'est dans le... Ils mettent ça dans le product. Alors que, dans le fond, la meilleure voie ici, c'est de mettre la rental period dans le line item type. Fait que, mais bon, tu peux faire plein de choses de ce côté-là.
Si tu connais un peu WordPress, est-ce que tu l'as déjà utilisé?
Ah, moi, je suis un king de WordPress.
Ok, ça marche.
Non,
tu sais, mettons, tu sais, moi, j'utilise principalement WordPress, puis j'avais une grosse interrogation avant d'aller dans, tu sais, excusez-moi.
Non.
Si je me sens comme un outsider, je suis comme un espion. Mais non, mais tu sais, moi, peu importe la solution, l'important, c'est le résultat pour le client.
T'as raison.
Que ce soit Drupal, Joomla, c'est le client. Puis, tu sais, moi, j'avais un gros problème, j'avais comme... En fait, c'est pour contrer Spotify, c'est comme la plus grosse boutique de MP3 au Québec. C'était comme, puis là, on essayait de faire ça avec des affaires open source, il n'y avait pas de budget, puis la seule que tu là-dedans, c'est pas ça. Là. Mais tu sais, c'était comme l'idée, c'était un peu le rental, tu sais, de MP3, tu comprends ce que je veux dire? On n'a pas été capable, on l'a fait avec un membership. C'est ça. Mais si tu peux faire ta solution de rental avec du membership, là, tu comptes ce qu'on voulait faire. Tu comprends ce que je veux dire? C'est comme de louer un MP3 pendant, OK, je suis member pendant 2 semaines.
Fait que j'y accède.
C'est ça. Mais tu penses-tu que ça pourrait faire, cette solution pourrait...
Je pense que oui. Tu sais, on peut vendre des rôles aussi avec Commerce ou avec Ubercard, tu sais. Fait que je peux te vendre un rôle de Platinum, puis ça donne accès à, je sais pas moi, c'est 25 tonnes par semaine, tu sais, mettons, je dis n'importe quoi, là. Mais je peux te vendre un rôle qui te donne accès à des contenus. Donc, je peux contrôler ce que tu peux voir ou entendre ou aller chercher parce que tu as le rôle, tu sais. Fait que tu peux faire ça.
Le problème avec ça, dans la location de contenu sonore, il y a le paramètre à partir de quand une tourne est considérée comme avoir été écoutée.
Ouais, mais c'est sûr.
Chez Spotify, c'est 30 secondes. Chez d'autres, c'est 20 secondes. Donc, une tourne est réputée avoir été jouée quand c'est 20 secondes qui est été...
Tu as vraiment mis le doigt là-dessus. En fait, c'est ça, c'est vraiment un gros projet. Puis moi j'avais comme pas de budget, j'ai dit ok, moi j'ai dit on va faire de quoi maison, mais c'est vraiment ça. Puis,
Il nous reste 30 secondes parce qu'il va falloir qu'on libère la place. Ben, merci beaucoup d'être venu. J'espère que